Hello everybody, I'm Mackenzie Kaiser, and today I will be talking about the new normal since COVID has started. So much has changed since March 13th, 2021, when the COVID pandemic officially changed our world. What is our new normal? So much has changed so quickly, and I and many other people have gone through it all firsthand, seeing the changes from the beginning to now. There are so many differences since March 13th of 2021. A lot has changed, a lot of new restrictions, things we can do, things we can't do, things we have to do, even if we just want to simply go to the store. A lot of new things if we want to travel out of the country, if we want to come back into the country. There's a lot that has happened in such a short amount of time. Nobody knew how to react, but we adapted and we learned what our new normal should be. So the first thing that drastically changed is when they came out with a vaccine. Everybody had to be vaccinated. If you weren't vaccinated, you couldn't go anywhere. In the state of New York, it was such a tight restriction, you were not allowed to even go to a restaurant without being vaccinated. And we were all so scared because a lot of people passed away because of COVID, that everybody got this vaccine not even knowing what it is or what it's going to do or even if it's going to help. And there were a lot of downfalls to this vaccine. There's a lot of symptoms you can get. You can get dizziness, lightheaded, shortness of breath, ongoing chest problems. If you're older and you have chest problems, they said you shouldn't get it, but if you didn't get it, you weren't allowed to do anything. Especially being in New York, there's so many people all of the time. You had to be vaccinated. If you weren't vaccinated, then it was a problem. And in the state of Pennsylvania, it's a big state, but there's not as many people in New York, so the vaccine requirement wasn't as strong, but it was still strong. You still needed to be vaccinated. For a long time, a lot of places like restaurants and businesses can only have a certain amount of people in there. So we all got used to having to call to make reservations if we wanted to do something, because you can only have, like in New York, you could only have things at half capacity. I think that was most states, you could only have things at half capacity. So that's a lot of downfall for businesses. They're losing money because they can only serve half the people they would normally be serving. A second big point was schools. A lot of schools were affected by this. I went through this firsthand where it was a 2-week break. They were told you'll be back in 2 weeks, everything will be fine. But that wasn't the case. Everything was not fine. Everything was actually a mess. And then you weren't allowed back unless you were wearing a mask, or you weren't allowed back unless you were vaccinated. And at the time, a lot of people who didn't get the vaccine at the time were scared to get it because they didn't know. They didn't know the lifetime repercussions from getting this vaccine. So a lot of people didn't get it, and a lot of people didn't go back to school. And that's when hybrid learning was introduced, and they did half the school was in school if you were vaccinated, and the other half was online. And there's benefits to it, but a lot of kids were able to cheat the system and kind of cheat their way through school because they were online, and it was just easier to, if the teacher's not watching over you doing what you're doing, you can kind of get away with it if you were sneaky with it. There were many mixed emotions from parents about hybrid learning because a lot of people couldn't go back to school or weren't allowed to go back to school because they had family members at home that needed to stay away from COVID that could seriously hurt them. So when hybrid learning was introduced, the benefits of it were great, but there were a lot of downfalls. The benefits were if you have someone at home and they can't get sick and you can't go to school, fine, you learn online. You were able to join the Zoom calls, use Google Classroom in college, use Moodle, or use whatever academic thing you're using. So there were benefits to it, but still a lot of downfalls. A lot of seniors, a lot of juniors kind of got upset about it because me as a junior, this happened my junior year, I didn't get a senior year, and being on a sports team, I didn't get my senior year sports team. I didn't a lot of kids missed out on something that's supposed to be the best time of their life, but didn't get to do it because of all these tight restrictions on this new normal of you have to be masked, you have to be vaxxed to do it. And the last and final thing that was really big was the masks. Everybody had to get used to wearing a mask. If you wanted to go to Stop and Shop or ShopRite, you'd have to wear a mask. If you wanted to go to anywhere, you had to wear a mask. And that caused a lot of problems with people like, oh, if they're wearing masks, why do I have to wear a mask? Which is not how that works. If you want to survive, if you want to be a part of this world, you're gonna have to, it sounds so bad, but follow everybody else. So you're gonna have to wear the mask. Yeah, you might not want to. Yeah, it might be annoying. Yeah, it might be uncomfortable, but you're gonna have to wear it. And then when it comes to schools and masks, so Keystone, we had to wear masks for the first, I think it was until January. We had to wear masks. And yeah, that's it. It was annoying because you'd go to class and say you forgot your mask in your room. You'd have to go upstairs, you'd have to go get a mask. And then it'd be the paper mask, and the paper mask get uncomfortable. They get hot. It's like, it's gross. Like, adapted and became a part of this family and united. There were a lot of detriments to using masks because they ended up polluting a lot of the oceans and being thrown away and not reusable. That's why they came up with reusable masks that you throw in the washer, you wash it, you can wear it again. But a lot of people didn't like that they had to wear a mask, but a lot of people did it because that was our new normal. We had to adapt and be a part of this at that time. And then everybody, and all the teachers and people were just genuinely excited when we didn't have to wear masks anymore. So much has changed since this pandemic has started, and we are far, far away from actually knowing anything, but we are adapting, we are living, and overall, and did what we had to do to make sure we can do what we want to do. And let's just hope it doesn't happen again.